This crazy guy not only locked her in a dark basement, but also occasionally injected her with some mysterious oil until he got bored. Then he sold her off like a piece of merchandise to the nearby gang, completely unaware that trouble was lurking just around the corner. As the group drove away, they suddenly realized the usually clear road was unexpectedly blocked, like a plot twist in a bad movie. They had to turn right as directed, but ahead was enemy territory. The driver quickly warned his pals. Outnumbered and helpless, the two gang members were quickly riddled by the rival gang. Tragic ending. Luckily, the girl was only a little shaken up. The gang leader caught wind of this and without hesitating, called out Mike, who was already searching. When Mike saw Alice looking like a train wreck, his fury shot up to an explosive level. It was like watching a kettle boil. Without hesitation, he swiftly whisked Alice away and headed back to the territory of the rival white gang, immediately embarking on a frenzy of cleaning out those hoodlums from their lair like a janitor on a crucial mission. After taking out the trash, Mike took Alice to a remote mountain hideout, knowing full well she still had the tracker for Milo on her. Talk about mixed emotions. So, Mike prepped for DIY surgery, handed Alice a towel. Brilliant plan. He deftly sliced through the fabric, successfully extracting the tracker. Finally, freedom at last. From that moment on, Alice was truly liberated, but healing would take time. So Mike decided to take her back to his old mountain cabin for some TLC. They spent some peaceful days there, wrapped up in sweet love, totally unaware that a storm was brewing in a prison far away. A strong wave of rebellion was brewing as the guards serving breakfast noticed all the gang members standing with their backs turned, like they were in the middle of a secret. Confused, he reported to superiors. The seasoned leader saw it as a blatant threat ready to explode. But the warden believed it was merely a protest, seeing as just a while ago he had slipped something into the gang leader's lunch. You win some, you lose some. Meanwhile, the prison boss started plotting an unprecedented negotiation, oblivious to the fact that chaos was about to ensue. He insisted the police must hold their ground and never yield. But the warden hadn't been in the trenches with the prisoners lately. Talk about missing the big picture. He called for all the gang leaders together, hoping for some peaceful negotiation. What a naive thought. He told the gang leaders if they played by the rules, the cops would stop pestering them. Little did he know, the gangsters had zero interest. The next day at lunch, not only did they ignore him, but they also united to stab a guard. Seriously out of line. Little did anyone know, Kingston prison was about to face an all-out riot that would disturb the entire establishment. During an interrogation, the sheriff noticed a few inmates behind him fixing their eerie gaze on his keys like a pack of hungry predators. At first, he was suspicious but didn't expect, in the blink of an eye, a riot would suddenly erupt, leaving the staff dumbfounded. The alarm was triggered, but the guards were overrun and taken down, turning the interrogation scene upside down in a matter of moments. In under 3 minutes, the gang leader snatched the keys and led his crew to the armory. Talk about quick and decisive. The reinforcements turned into torches, as these leisurely guards found they could barely escape. What a ridiculous turn of events. The first batch of armed inmates pushed open the door to the lower levels, the movements resembling a perfectly synchronized performance. The fully equipped guards in the upper floor sensed the danger and readied themselves to dash towards the chaos. They planned force to contain the situation, but the leader opened the control room door. It was too late. No matter how sophisticated the guards' weapons were, they were overwhelmed by the sheer numbers of inmates. They could only retreat, but soon found themselves trapped by another wave of inmates in the narrow passage anyway. The flood of inmates quickly swept them away, and just like that, the two guards who had been knocked down finally came to. They washed pepper spray from their comrades' faces and then ventured into the surreal prison without hesitation. They knew the rogue inmates would inevitably gather on the yard to make a statement. It was going to be a spectacle of conflict and chaos. Kingston prison had turned into a carnival, with underground Mayor Mike listening in. Meanwhile, many were keeping a close eye on the developments in the prison, prepared for action at any moment. Mike rushed to the prison and found his contact, SWAT Officer Robert, stating his urgent mission to rescue his brother Kyle from behind bars. However, the perimeter was taken over by federal agents, and Robert's request for reinforcement was denied. Thankfully, Mike got a text from Kyle. SWAT pinpointed his location. Robert decided to act now. He led the teams using transport trucks as cover, launching a covert rescue operation. Meanwhile, Kyle was cornered with the sheriff, feeling utterly hopeless. Fortunately, the SWAT team arrived just in time, successfully rescuing Kyle and the others, marking the beginning of the 1980 South Carolina Riot saga. The inmates, emboldened by the banner of Revolution for Freedom, tied up the very cops who had once bullied them in the yard. Talk about a fast twist of fate. They even brazenly fired shots at a news helicopter flying overhead. Talk about shocking theatrics. One inmate placed a call to the police, threatening that if they didn't send negotiators into the prison, the lives of the tied-up officers were on the line. With the relentless punks in charge, underground Mayor Mike had no choice but to step into the rioters' prison for negotiations. What a thrill-seeking adventure. He knew best what inmates wanted. Government reinforcements arrived as the National Guard set up a ladder swiftly. While saving Mike, the reinforcements provided covering fire, allowing him to slip into the prison only to be shocked by the chaos that unfolded. Hope ignited in his heart, but the leading inmate turned to him and said, "Anyone can leave except the cops." What a chilling decision. Some really interesting events are coming. Subscribe.